What if the world you see is just a sliver of what truly exists? Not metaphorically, but quite literally. Beneath the layers of what seems solid and stable lies an energetic framework far more intricate than what meets the eye. In this unseen domain, there's no weight, no form, no tangible structure, only currents of frequency, fluctuations of vibration, and flowing streams of intelligent energy. This realm isn't bound by matter. In fact, matter barely exists here. Atoms, which we think of as the building blocks of all things, are over 99.99999% empty space. That tiny fraction of something is what we mistakenly focus all our attention on. But the real power lies in the vast nothingness around it, which isn't nothing at all but a powerful, structured force field packed with information. In this dimension, consciousness shapes reality, not through physical effort, but through alignment with this field. Think about that for a second. If everything you know is energy, and that energy responds to intention, then your thoughts, when properly directed, can shift the world around you. It's not fantasy, it's physics. This energetic ocean responds to direction. It's not matter shaping reality. It's the unseen blueprint, the organizing field, that molds and rearranges particles into the forms we observe. Matter is the result, not the cause. Einstein pointed to this very truth. He said the field governs the particle. That one insight flips everything. It means our external reality is shaped not by what we do with our hands, but by how we interact with this invisible intelligence. When we shift the coding within that energy field, we trigger movement in the material world. It's like adjusting the software before the hardware responds. So the question is no longer what can I do, but rather how can I influence the space that does the doing? Because that space, that field, doesn't just surround you, it moves through you. You are entangled with it, and understanding this connection is the first step to reclaiming creative authority over your life. Everything you think is real might just be a beautifully convincing trick of perception. What we call reality is in essence a visual projection, a filtered interpretation of light, reflecting off condensed energy we call matter. But matter, when broken down to its smallest scale, barely even exists. It's stable energy, energy pretending to be solid. Our eyes only detect a narrow range of frequencies, specifically what's known as visible light. Everything outside that range, the vast majority of what actually exists, is invisible to us. What we see, then, isn't the truth. It's a fraction of a fraction. A limited spectrum bouncing off surfaces and interpreted by the brain into colors, shapes, and edges. In that sense, life as we know it is more of a hologram, an interactive illusion based on sensory input, than a concrete, fixed reality. And when you start seeing it that way, everything changes. You begin to understand that relying solely on physical actions to change your life is like trying to rearrange your reflection in the mirror. Without touching the person standing in front of it, you're working from the wrong side. True transformation doesn't happen by forcing the external. It unfolds by shifting what lies beneath it. When you try to create only through material means, you're starting from a place of separation, of lack. You're reinforcing the illusion that you are disconnected from the outcome you desire. But the truth is, you're already connected, not through touch, but through the field. When you realize that your energy is part of a larger whole, and that this whole responds to your intention, you stop chasing results. You begin attracting them, creating from the invisible, from the energetic fabric rather than the physical frame, allows you to operate from wholeness. It's not about fixing what's broken. It's about aligning with what's already complete. The less you rely on the outer world to define your worth or your potential, the more access you have to this deeper level of creation. So the question becomes, are you going to keep reacting to the illusion, or will you start shaping it from the source? Because once you realize that the world is responding not to what you're doing, but to what you're resonating, you stop trying to force change and start becoming the frequency that invites it. There's a moment when the noise of the outside world fades, not because it disappears, but because you stop giving it your attention. The body, the people around you, the ticking of the clock, the never-ending to-do list. They all begin to dissolve from your awareness, And in that space of stillness, something extraordinary becomes possible. Consciousness in its purest form exists beyond identity. It's not tied to your name, your history, your profession, or even your physical shape. It's the awareness that remains when every label, memory, and sensory attachment is set aside. Most people have never met themselves outside the roles they play. But that version of self, stripped of all conditions, is the gateway to the quantum field. By withdrawing your energy from the familiar, your body, your surroundings, your relationships, even the story of your past, you begin to reclaim it. That attention, once scattered across 1,000 thoughts and obligations, becomes focused. And where that focus goes, energy flows. Redirecting it inward, toward stillness, allows you to tap into the unknown, not as an idea, but as a living, breathing experience. In this space, time ceases to matter. The past doesn't weigh you down. The future doesn't pressure you. You exist fully in the now, not the now filled with distractions, but the timeless present that has no edges. It's a state where you are no longer a fixed someone, but a fluid expression of awareness. Most people associate nothingness with emptiness, but here nothing is rich. A realm filled with subtle frequencies, intelligence, and potential. It's not void of meaning. It's the birthplace of meaning itself. When you remain in this state, without clinging to any emotion, memory, or physical sensation, you enter a creative zone far more powerful than anything achieved through effort alone. It's difficult to explain this to someone who's only ever known themselves through labels. But once you experience it, even briefly, and you understand, you are not your body. You are not your past. You are not the roles you've been assigned. You are awareness itself, capable of observing without reacting, of existing without performing, and from this non-local space of pure being, you don't need to push reality. You influence it by simply tuning your frequency to match the potential you wish to experience. That's the real power, not in control, but in alignment. The human brain wasn't designed to stay in survival mode forever, yet most people live in it daily. Constant stress pulls attention in every direction, bouncing from responsibilities to fears, from expectations to regrets. This scattered focus fragments the mind. Over time, the brain, instead of working as a unified network, begins operating in isolated compartments. The result? Confusion, fatigue, emotional reactivity, and a feeling of being disconnected from oneself. When you're constantly switching mental gears, from one thought to another, from problem to distraction, you train the brain to stay fragmented. It becomes an environment of mental noise, divided intention, and repetitive stress responses. But the moment you begin shifting your awareness away from the chaos, something powerful begins to happen. Reintegration. By relaxing the grip on external demands and redirecting attention inward, the brain starts to shift. Areas that were once overactive due to chronic tension begin to calm. Separate regions begin to fire together, not chaotically, but in harmony. This synchronization creates a state where the brain no longer reacts defensively. It starts operating with clarity and precision. This process isn't theoretical. It's measurable. When coherence emerges, brain waves slow down and begin to move rhythmically. Different neural circuits begin to communicate more fluidly. What once felt like mental static is replaced with organized, flowing signals. These electrical patterns become stronger, more intentional, and carry greater energy. And with greater energy comes greater influence. That's where intention becomes more than just a wish. In a coherent brain, thoughts aren't weak impulses lost in noise. They become clear, directed signals that radiate outward. The mind, now unified, acts like a transmitter, broadcasting a specific message into the energetic field. The more precise the thought, the more powerful the signal. In this elevated state, the left and right hemispheres begin to work together as a team. Logic and creativity no longer compete, they cooperate. You're no longer mentally fragmented, you're whole. This inner harmony is the foundation for true healing and deep creation. And once coherence becomes consistent, you no longer chase change, you embody it. Your brain becomes an architect, not just reacting to life, but shaping it. And this is not about thinking harder, It's about thinking clearer. When mental energy is aligned, it naturally amplifies, creating a ripple that extends far beyond your skull. While the brain emits electrical signals that shape intention, it's the heart that provides the magnetic force to draw that intention into form. Most people underestimate the power residing in their chest. Beyond its physical function, the heart is an energetic powerhouse, and when it enters a state of harmony, it becomes a magnetic field generator unlike anything else in the body. Studies have shown that a heart in coherence radiates a magnetic signal that can extend several meters beyond the body. But this field isn't just large, it's intelligent. It carries emotional information and influences both your internal systems and the environment around you. When you're in a genuine state of appreciation, care, or love, this field becomes even more coherent, sending out a stable and powerful vibrational signal. Now, imagine pairing a clear mental intention from a coherent brain with the emotional energy of a coherent heart. That combination forms the perfect energetic blueprint. The brain sends out the message, the heart draws in the match. This electromagnetic partnership is what turns thought into experience. It's not about wanting, it's about becoming the frequency of what you desire. Love in this context is more than an emotion, it's a force of attraction, a unifying current that aligns your personal field with possibilities in the quantum space. When you genuinely feel love for a future you haven't lived yet, you magnetize that outcome toward you. The more coherent your emotional state, the stronger your field and the faster that alignment occurs. But it's not just about intensity, it's about consistency. A few moments of high emotion aren't enough if they're followed by hours of doubt, fear, or frustration. The heart's magnetic rhythm must stay steady, and that happens when your emotional life is no longer driven by your external circumstances, but by your internal state of being. The power lies in the union. The head gives direction. The heart provides pull. One broadcasts, the other attracts. And when both are aligned, you're no longer chasing outcomes, you're drawing them in naturally. You become the signal and the receiver. This is the shift from trying to make things happen through effort and control to allowing them to unfold through alignment and coherence. The more whole you feel inside, the more the world reflects that wholeness back to you. And it all starts in the heart, not as a metaphor but as a literal magnetic truth. There comes a moment when the unseen begins to respond in undeniable ways. Patterns emerge, events line up with uncanny precision. People, opportunities, and ideas appear at exactly the right time. These aren't random moments. They're signals, confirmation that your internal world has become a match for something greater, waiting in the field. When your thoughts are clear and your emotions stable, your energy broadcasts a consistent frequency. That frequency interacts with the quantum field, not through magic, but through resonance. Every potential reality already exists in this field, like stations on a radio. The moment your personal vibration aligns with a specific possibility, you tune into it. That's when synchronicities begin to surface. They're not coincidences, they're feedback, evidence that your consciousness is no longer working against your intentions, but in harmony with them. And the more you notice them, the more they multiply. Not because you're getting lucky, but because you're becoming aware of how powerful you actually are. This realization is often followed by something even deeper, a sense of peace with the past. The betrayals, the losses, the struggles, they lose their grip on you. Why? Because the moment the future you've been aligned with begins to manifest, those past experiences stop defining you. They become irrelevant, no longer fuel for your identity, but lessons that led you to this alignment. At that point, you're no longer waiting for life to change. You are the change. The world around you begins to reflect your internal evolution. And instead of chasing meaning, you recognize that you've been the creator all along, not just influencing outcomes, but generating them from the inside. Connection to source doesn't come through effort or struggle. It emerges when the mind and heart operate as one, when you're thinking clearly and feeling fully. That coherence turns your body into a conduit for creation. The signal you emit reaches everything everywhere all at once, because in the quantum realm, Separation is an illusion. Everything is linked. So when synchronicity shows up, don't brush it off. It's proof that you're in flow with the infinite. It means you're not hoping anymore. You're knowing. Not forcing, but attracting. You've stopped searching for signs because now you've become one.